Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar, The Marketing Circle, presented by Eric Michaels of the Physicians Business Hub. Please be aware that there will be a question-answer portion today at the end of the webinar. To avoid frequent interruptions during the webinar, please type your questions in the question box located on the right of your screen. They will be answered in the order received during this question-answer portion. Additionally, an electronic version of this presentation will be mailed to all participants following completion of today's webinar, and a recorded version will be available online on our website for members only. Again, NJMGMA would like to thank you for attending, and I will now turn things over to Eric.
Well, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Eric Michaels, and I will be your speaker today. I'll be talking about something that I refer to as the marketing circle. I call it this just like a circle has a certain completeness to it in order to exist. So much your marketing effort, if your marketing results are to be optimized. I met a doctor not long ago, and I asked him if he had done much in the area of marketing, to which he replied yes. And unfortunately, it just didn't work for us, he went on to say. So I said, really, what marketing did you do? And he said, we placed an ad in the paper. So I said, you mean you placed just a single ad in the paper? And this was the extent of your marketing effort? And he said, yes. So don't be like this guy. And we're going to talk about what it really means to market. So why market? First, we want to keep up with your competition because chances are your most fierce competitors are marketing. Also, it's tax deductible, which is an incentive to market and to grow your business. Also, it's essential in letting your prospective patients know who and where you are. And also, you want to become known as the doctor of your specialty in your area and not just a doctor in the area. So again, just like a circle is complete, so must be your marketing effort if it's going to be optimized. Now, these different things don't have to occur in any specific order. It's just important that they all do occur. And along the circle, you'll notice, and we'll get into greater detail on all of these, but we have advertising, we have patient referrals, we have the community, we have centers of influence, we have referring physicians, we have in-office marketing, we have social media, and we have the company website. Let's start with free advertising. Why not take advantage of free advertising? It's free, right? So examples of free or nearly free advertising include social media, like having a Facebook pages. Facebook is something that everyone is using these days, over 1 billion people worldwide. There's all different kinds of groups on Facebook, and these groups talk within, amongst themselves, and they talk about medical practices just like they talk about everything else. So when you have a Facebook page as a medical practice, it's kind of easier for them to navigate their friends, their family, and others to your page. Going to hospital meetings, including grand rounds, is another free way of getting exposure out there. Email communication with patients, including asking patients for referrals. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Word of mouth is very important, of course, and internal or in-office marketing, and that really refers to how are we treating patients in the office? What is that patient experience like? Here's some examples of paid advertising. We have newspaper ads, direct mailers, having a billboard, probably a little less common, having a radio ad, also not quite as common. Giveaways like water bottles, pens, having an open house event for people in the community to come to. Patient referrals. Here are the questions that we should be asking ourselves when it comes to patient referrals. First, are you asking your patient base for referrals? And there's a real tactful way to go about doing that. Are you sending a welcome letter to all new patients? Are you sending emails to your entire patient base on a regular basis? And are you very concerned, as you should be, with the overall patient experience when they come to the practice? These all lead to patient referrals. Here's a few tactful ways that we can kind of incorporate things into either a welcome letter or a happy holiday email to our patient base. I've seen some practices even posted in the office. That might be a little bold, but certainly not too bold to put it in the welcome letter, that there's no greater compliment to our practice than when our patients refer us to their or family. Another way, maybe around holiday time, we would like to take this opportunity to thank you for your many referrals that have helped the practice to grow and thrive. Because when you thank people for referrals, it puts the idea right back into the forefront of their mind, and they're likely to do what? They're likely to refer even more to you. Centers of influence are people in the community who work in your field of healthcare, who others within the community may value their opinions more than just the average person. They might include other physicians, hospital staff, pharmacists, physician assistants, nurse practitioners, nurses. These are just a few examples of centers of influence. So it's particularly important to be cognizant about how we market to these people and make sure that we're putting our best foot forward with them, so that when people ask them, they're going to say good things about our practices. Being involved in the community is also very important. Going to schools, sometimes physicians will go to schools and talk to younger or older children about what it's like to be a physician, and then they come home, they tell their parents, and their parents are happy and pleased, and it's just another way to generate referrals. Going to community centers, participating in town fairs. Sometimes it's just a couple $100 to get a table at a town fair, and the exposure there can be pretty amazing. Over 1,000 people we've had that have walked by and taken material from a physician's booth at one of the town fairs. Getting involved in local organizations and also supporting local charities. It is important when little Timmy comes and wants you to place an ad in his school play brochure. It might cost $25, $50. That just goes such a long way to say yes to these things, as well as supporting other local charities, so that the community feels that the practice cares and knows that the practice cares, and that will also help when it comes to referrals within the community. Referring physicians. It's important to know that primary care physicians mostly refer to specialists, and that specialists mostly refer to primary care physicians. So if you're a primary care physician, it is important to market to those specialists that are going to refer to you, and vice versa. How do we do that? Maybe we send some, a note for each patient that they do refer to us. Maybe we send our business cards to them, just once or twice a year. Maybe we send them just a little, small, holiday, something, just to let them know that we do appreciate their referrals, which will encourage them to refer more. Also, when it's doctor to doctor, usually they're very welcoming about having you come to their office to speak about what it is that you do, maybe bring lunch to them one day, and these are ways to build relationships with those other physicians in your area. So we have in-house marketing. The front desk training is very important. In-house marketing is, the patient experience. When they come into the office, if they have a positive experience, they're going to refer. If they have a negative experience, chances are they are not going to refer. And no one's more important than that front line of the front desk people. Are they smiling? Are they welcoming? Are they giving an accurate expectation to the patient? For example, letting them know that they're a little bit behind and they might wait for 30, 40 minutes. The wait is so much easier for that patient if they just are made aware that they might be waiting. In-house marketing would also be sending a welcome letter to all new patients. Maybe they've come to the practice just once and they're not totally bought in yet, and the welcome letter is the trigger for what makes them decide, oh, okay, they really are on the ball, this place cares, and this is a practice that I do want to bring myself or my family to for the long run. Sending an exit letter, a lot of practices do this just to thank the patient for the time that they did attend the practice. And this also just lets them know that the practice is really on the ball, that they care, and they'll be a lot more likely to return down the road if they have received an exit letter. And office morale is very important. Just open communication with employees, just to feel that or know that employees are happy and that they're feeling good. Because if they're not and they're upset about where they're working or their circumstances, patients are going to catch on to that vibe pretty quickly when they come into the office. We've all been there where we walk into an office and we overhear people complaining, and it's really inappropriate. But that's where office morale comes into play. So it's also very important with in-house marketing. When it comes to social media, again, I would say Facebook is very important. And then I would say also very important is having a website these days. It's really the modern day version of a business card. People are hardly ever looking in the yellow pages as they may have been 20, 30 years ago to find a physician. Now they're looking online, they're Googling it, and if you have a web presence, including a website, it's just an easier way for them to be able to find you. Probably less important might be LinkedIn and Twitter, but LinkedIn could come into play when the physician is looking to network with other physicians, and so for that purpose it may be quite important. Couple questions to ask ourselves when it comes to the practice website is, do you have a website for your practice? That's the first question. If you don't, you really should, and should speak with a company who would be able to help you, develop a website. Usually costs, less $1,000 or less to have a nice site in this day and age. Also, are you utilizing SEO or search engine optimization to draw people to your website? There's ways to do that. There's companies like Web.com, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Web.com or other companies typically will charge around $100 a month, and they'll help you optimize the information that's running in the background of each and every website. There's information like the site title and keywords, and when the person designs the website and sets it up, this information is running in the background. Well, companies like Web.com will actually look at that information and they'll tell you from 0 to 100% how far you are from being optimized. And also having pages for the towns in your area. If you're in the town, for example, of Oakland, New Jersey, when people search for the doctor of your specialty in Oakland, New Jersey, you're going to show up because you're in that town. But what about the 10 or 15 towns adjacent to and nearby Oakland, New Jersey? You probably may not going to show up very high up in the ranking when they do that search. Well, there's a way to go about fixing that, and that's to have separate pages running in the background of your website, and one single page dedicated for each town, the name of each town. So that way, when the patient goes in and searches for ABC town and allergist, for example, if that's your specialty, they're now going to find you in all those towns that you do have pages for more easily. And you can also use Google AdWords as another way, again, to increase your ranking as the Google robots go out to search for different companies when someone enters in the information. So these are all examples of search engine optimization. Tracking your results. So the front desk must collect the data. That's essential. And the data that they must collect, new patients to the practice, patients who exit the practice, how did they hear about the practice? And they must also collect all patients' email addresses to help us be able to market to them. This information will be used for things like sending welcome letters and email communications to the patient base, and also tracking your marketing results. We want to basically boil this down to the math and the numbers. And so when we're spending money, we have to be able to track this information closely so that we'll be able to see our return on investment. Asking how did you hear about us? This is one thing that we should be a little bit careful of when it comes to asking patients this question. We should ask it, but it's not really how we measure the success of a specific marketing effort. The way we do measure the success of a specific marketing effort is the net new patients to the practice. For example, if the practice was getting 20 new patients a month before we started a certain marketing effort, and now they're getting 30 new patients a month since we've implemented that marketing effort, now we have the 30 new patients minus the 20 that it was before, so that is a net of 10 new patients per month as a result of our marketing effort, and that's how we measure the marketing effort. So the impact of completing the marketing circle, and this is to exemplify it. If we just do one or two things, chances are we're probably better off not saving our money and doing nothing at all. And if we just do a couple or a few things, we might get minimal results. But when you start combining all of these things together, you do get an exponential effect, and there's the example right there. So we must complete the marketing circle and do it all if we are looking to optimize our marketing effort results. That's probably the most important takeaway from this whole lecture. And I'll just say it one more time. We must complete the marketing circle and do it all if we are looking to optimize our marketing effort results. When it comes to looking at the return on investment, and this is very important to do, first thing we must look at is how much is each new patient worth to the practice. Well, how do we figure that out? Well, here's an example. If the average reimbursement per visit is $150 and the patient comes an average of 3 times per year and stays with the practice for an average of 5 years, then the average patient is worth $2,250 to the practice. So it was $150 for the visit. They come 3 times a year. They come for 5 years, and that's where we get the $2,250 number. And if we know that each patient is worth $2,250 to the practice, then our goal is to have a 1-to-3 ratio on how much we spend on marketing versus the practice receipts. So with that example, we measure the impact of our marketing with net new patients to the practice. If we run a weekly ad in the newspaper accompanied by a direct mailer for a month, and we see that our net new patients increased by 10 patients, then the monetary gain to that advertising campaign was 10 patients times, we figured out that each patient is worth $2,250 for a total of $22,500. The marketing should have cost only 1/3 of that amount, or $7,500 or less, for this marketing effort to have been considered a victory for the practice. So in summary, Why market? Number one reason is we can't optimize our growth without doing it. Also, your competition is advertising, and you want new patients in the community to come to you and not just go to them. You want to be known as the doctor of your specialty in the area and not just a doctor in the area. And again, in summary, you must complete the marketing circle if you're going to optimize your results. So I thank you for attending this lecture today on the marketing circle. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer your questions at this time.
Okay, folks, if you have any questions, please get them in the question box so we can have Eric answer them for you. If not, if they are a more detailed question, you can always get in touch with him directly. His contact information is on the presentation, which I will be sending out to everyone. We'll give it a couple seconds here to see if any questions come through. If not, I'm going to close the webinar. So please send them over if you have them. Okay, Eric, it doesn't look like we have any questions, so I'm going to close the webinar. Thank you, everyone, again, and we hope to see you at our next webinar in 2 weeks. Oh, I'm sorry. We did just have a question come over, Eric. Which marketing methodology have you found to be most successful?
I would say a combination of the direct mailer postcard along with the newspaper ad. I would say that, you know, those two in combination have been, you know, very impactful. But it does, you know, depend on the specialty. You know, that can make a difference. And again, it is about, you know, pursuing as many of these avenues as possible in order to have the greatest result.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, everyone, thank you very much for attending, and we'll see you at the next webinar.